In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a Extreme 4D nail that is sculpted. So I'm using my practice finger for this, and I am doing it all with acrylic on a form. So as far as like sculpting the spiderweb shape and everything is all done on a form. And I love to sculpt, and I don't get to do it very often, so I'm very excited to do all of these. And I'm actually dedicating a portion, like I have a chunk of videos in this month just for sculpting so that I could play around with it and try out different shapes and just have some fun sculpting. So I hope you guys are excited about those as I am. This video today is going to be a spiderweb shaped nail that has 3 webs in it, and then it has a little spider that drops down, goes up and down through the nail. And the spider webs themselves, all of the webs are painted using double dips. They're gel art like striper brushes in their striper box, so that kit, and I'll put a link to that in the description box below. There's some really nice bright neon colors, and you can see how pigmented they are later in the video. So if you're interested in those, definitely check that out. I was astonished at how well they worked, and I think they would glow under a black light because whew, were they glowy in my lamp. So that was really fun just to look in there and see these spider webs come to life. I love this nail. The other thing that's in this video that's kind of an oopsie, but here you go anyways, is I broke it twice. And I don't usually break things, which is actually surprising, but I did. I broke this one twice, and you get to see how I fixed it twice. So if it's something that has ever happened to you where you break a nail and you're like, oh my goodness, what I'm going to do, there is a fix in this video. Pretty self-explanatory. I would think it is, straightforward, but just in case, if you are interested, I broke it twice and you'll get to see me fix it. So I hope you enjoy that element as well, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!
We're going to begin by fitting 2 forms together to fit a longer sculpting space. So cut off the extension part of one form, press it onto the end of the extension area of another form, and just give it a really nice press. Make sure that you are lining those up as straight as you possibly can so that your form goes down in a nice, smooth, even line and it doesn't sort of kink off to one side or the other. Pinch the end of the form shut. Fit that form to the nail, closing the bottom as best you can, and then we're just going to make sure that it's nice and snug by trimming the sides open just to give it a nice, more controlled fit. We're going to very meticulously pinch that form all the way down to create a nice, smooth stiletto area. Now, when you are getting this nice, smooth stiletto area, one thing to keep in mind is that you're going to have your web going down the sides of the nail, so you want to just, I don't know what that'll mean to you, but just keep that in mind. And then blend the nail down to the form with some clear acrylic. After that, I'm going to grab a Halloween glitter mix. It's got a black base with some orange and some purple glitter flakes in it, and we're going to cover the natural nail. So we're going to just apply that over what is a natural nail on my little practice finger, and then just sort of brush it down and add a little bit of that glitter all the way down here and there sporadically down the entire form. Don't apply a full overlay over the entire form, but just little tiny bits of glitter here and there, like little surprises. And then using clear acrylic again, we're going to be sculpting the bases of the webs over the form. So when you're sculpting these little web bases, kind of envision the way the outside edge of a spider web looks. Look up some photos if you need that as a reference, but just try to get sort of a basic shape of your spider webs sculpted in. And it isn't super easy to do, getting the clear acrylic to perform the way you want it to necessarily, especially when you're going over the form from side to side. So take your time, have an image in mind. This is one of the rare times I would actually suggest pre-sketching your design if you want to, if that's something that you would enjoy doing, just so that you have kind of a game plan in mind, especially since all the webs have to kind of connect, and you want them to connect in a way that looks somehow like they're not touching, or like they're barely touching, so that they don't look like they're too attached to each other. The problem with that, however, is that you have the tendency to possibly make it so that your webs and your nail will break, which, as I mentioned in the intro, mine did twice in both of these spots where this middle web attaches to the other pieces, which is fine. They go back together without too much trouble, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind. So after you have the first biggest area of the web sculpted, the one that comes right off the nail, then you're going to sculpt another little one right off of that. And once that one is done, then you're going to sculpt one more web on the tip of the nail that goes down so that the final point ends in a stiletto. Like I said, this could possibly be one of the times you want to pre-plan, or at least look a little closer at what mine is, so that you kind of get the shapes of the web down. So we're going to attach this one more time, attach it there, kind of bring it down. Work with small beads of acrylic at a time, especially for these smaller webs on the tip. The bigger one that actually attaches to the nail, you can use a little bit more acrylic on each go around. But these other ones, try to just take your time and do things slowly. There's no point in rushing it. This is one of those designs where if you try to rush it, you're going to end up with more filing, and the more you file, the more you risk breaking it. So just add all of those little skinny points. Also, don't worry currently about your nail structure. Just worry about the outside shape. Once you have the outside shape done, then you can go through and build up the nail structure and the apex and everything that you need to do. But for right now, just do the basic outlines. It's the difficult part of this design is getting this shape correct. So once you have this down and you have it where it's looking really nice and really smooth, then go through and add the rest. Just going to keep adding little layers here and there, just making sure that everything looks exactly how I want it to. And then once I am happy with it, like I said, go back through with your structure. So now that you have this and it's pretty much done, you're going to set this to the side to let it set up and cure. Once it is done, you're going to want to very carefully remove the form. And don't break the nail. Or break the nail. That's your other choice, break the nail. So I did obviously break my nail. What we're going to do is, if that break happens, we're going to take some nail glue, hold it together, look at this nail from side view, front view, all of that great stuff to make sure that it is not, slightly tipped to one side or the other. But usually what I find with a break is that it'll fit together in one way, in one certain way, and that's the way that it was originally, because it's not like a smooth line cut. It's just a little bit, kind of jagged like a jigsaw puzzle piece, and it'll fit together the way it's supposed to go. But once you have it glued, take some more clear acrylic and secure that piece together. Somewhere in the process off camera, I broke this thing again. So we're just going to leave that other piece off of the nail for right now. We're not going to fix it again. We're just going to leave it to the side, and we're going to carefully file this into shape. In fact, it's a little bit easier to file it off of the rest of the nail because I can hold it with a little bit more security. So after I have that done, I'm going to drill a hole through the middle of the center web with a very narrow bit, and then I'm going to do my reattachment process again. So hold my other piece up to the nail until the nail glue starts to set. Once that happens and the nail glue is all like gripped down, then you're going to go through and redo it with a little bit more clear acrylic. This time focusing that clear acrylic on the underside of the nail, just so that it is nice and smooth on top. A little bit on top is good, but then flip it over and add some to the underside too. Just fill in that space right in there. So now just kind of brush off any nail dust, but then using a bright orange striper gel, we're going to be painting the Spiderweb on the first section of the nail. So these striper gel paints that I'm using are the ones that are from Double Dip. They're the Bellavina striper, what are they called? Gel art brushes. And this set is amazing. I'm actually shocked at how pigmented this color is. I thought I would have to do at least 2 coats of the orange. The one that did require more than 1 coat was the green, but still incredibly impressed. So then I'm going to go through and just flash cure those first lines that I did, and then take that brush again and just fill in all of those other lines. So all of the painting I did on these little spider webs and on the spider is all done just with these gel paints in the striper brush, using the brush that came in the bottle. So I was really pretty impressed with them. I thought, I've used them before. I used them on my Cinderella carriage video just not too terribly long ago, a month ago or so. And I was impressed then with them. But then I thought, I'm just going to kind of put them to the test with a spider web, because a spider web is a lot of little tiny skinny lines. And, it just kind of gave me a very good idea on how they perform. And like I said, I was impressed. So we're going to be doing all of these little lines. And plus, you can really see how pigmented this orange is. It is really so beautiful. So once all of this is done, I got all of those little lines in, I'm going to put that into the lamp to cure fully. And then I'm going to move on to my green. And like I said, the green is slightly less pigmented. It's still really bright, still really neon, but it doesn't have the creamy base to it. The other thing that's kind of cool with these is, as you can see with my little Flash Cure flashlight, they glow so amazingly under my curing lamp, and I'm sure they would look really cool under a black light too. Even though they aren't necessarily made for black light, we all know certain things glow even when they aren't necessarily supposed to. So once the green one is done, I'm then going to take the purple striper one, or maybe it's like the magenta one, and I'm going to be doing my final little spider web. I did decide to do the green one in the middle on purpose because I have a green crystal that matches that color perfectly. So when I go through and I add the crystal at the end, which you'll see, you don't really see that it's there, and it just blends in really nicely. It's going to finish off this last purple web. This purple again is so pigmented, just like the orange one, and it painted that web without any difficulty whatsoever. After that's been fully cured, I'm going to apply a layer of gel sealer over the whole thing. These gel paints, I don't really know if they're supposed to have top coat or not, but I think they have just a slightly tacky feeling, kind of like certain chrome base coats that are supposed to have, almost not really sticky, but almost kind of thinking about being sticky, sort of. That's at least the vibe I get from them. So I'm just going to apply some top coat just to make sure that they stay nice and clean, since my workstation is covered in dust essentially. And then I'm going to apply some jeweler gel up around just the proximal fold and just press in some crystals. Just a few here and there. I want it to look super sparkly. This is a very glamorous Halloween nail. It's very long, it's over the top, it's extreme, and it's just glitzy and sparkly and everything I love. So we're going to be just adding another little bit to that by doing those crystals right around the proximal fold to amp up the glam element to this. Fill in however many you like. You could have just done 3 if you wanted, or 1 big one, or just a couple little ones. I did a whole cluster of them, really make that area nice and sparkly. And then I'm going to use the same glitter acrylic that I used for the nail bed, and I'm going to be sculpting my little spider body. So this one is also from Double Dip. It is a Halloween acrylic from last year, and so I'll put a link to the color name in the description box below, but just keep in mind that it may not be available this year. So we're going to be doing that little spider body with our glittery Halloween color. And then after that's done, we have the bigger body. We're going to be sculpting the same color, a little smaller circle for the head. Press that in from side to side. There is large glitter chunks in this, the purple and the pink ones, so it's a little bit more difficult to get these little tiny shapes sculpted, but with a little bit of work, it does happen. And then we're going to cut 8 pieces of fine wire for the legs and 1 long piece of black thread. So then glue your thread to your spider's butt. Once that nail glue has set down and that thread is in the spot it needs to be, you're going to take and glue your pieces of the wire in for the legs. And don't do like all 4 legs on one side and then do all 4 legs on the other side. Go back and forth and do 1 leg at a time on each side, so that you try and keep them as evenly spaced as possible so that they look the same from side to side. If you try to do all of them on one side and then all of them on the other, it just seems to me it's a little easier to get things a little bit cockeyed. So just go through, do the further out legs, and then do the center legs. So on a spider, when he's crawling down his line of silk, his front legs go forward and his back legs go up to sort of guide the silk. At least that's the image that I was going for. So we're going to do 2 kind of angled up and 2 angled down. Sometimes my nail glue and my wire laugh at me. They just laugh right in my face, which is what's going on right there. So glue all those pieces of wire down. Once you have that and they're all glued down securely, you're going to go back to your glittery Halloween acrylic and apply some acrylic right over the top of them to fill out the spider's butt, and also to secure those wires and the thread so that they aren't going anywhere. So now we're using a really fine jewelry wire, so it's super easy to bend. So I'm just going to bend it with my tweezers into the leg shape I want. So I'm going to give each leg 2 joints, an elbow and a wrist if you want to think of it that way, and just sort of bend those into shape. If some of the wires are a little bit longer than they need to be, at any point you can just go through and trim them down. I'm going to trim down that side, flip my little spider around, and repeat the leg bending process on the other side. Like I said, super easy to bend. It's actually really fun to bend these wires into place because it goes from looking kind of cartoony spider-wise into very real looking spider just with the angle of the legs. I've got those last 2 bits of bending to do, cut off those other tiny little extra lengths, and now I'm going to use the black gel striper and I'm going to paint the legs. I'm going to do 1 side at a time. So 4 legs, there's 1 set of 2, and then I'm going to do the other ones. And after you have them all painted with the black, both front and back, you want to make sure you get 360 degrees of black gel paint on those leggies. You're going to hold that in your lamp to cure. Don't set it down, or you might have it where it gets cured down to the bottom of your lamp. You want to just sit there and hold it for the full 1 minute. And then repeat for the other side of the legs, adding the little bits of gel paint just to cover the wire. And if you liked the silver legs, depending on the color of your spider, you could have left this step out. But I wanted them to be nice and black. And the reason I'm flash curing them quick before I stick it in my lamp is just because I tend to drop things in the process of putting them in my lamp. So that gives me a little bit extra assurance. So now I'm going to go back to my orange striper, the same one I used on the nail, and I'm going to be giving his legs little stripes. I think that looks just so cute, and it just adds so much more detail to the spider. And it took 15 seconds to do, just to add those little dots on the legs. And then pop that into the lamp to cure. Once that's done, I'm going to apply some top coat over my spider body. The legs, like I said, they weren't super sticky, so I actually just went and said, you know what, I think they're fine. I don't think they're going to really pick up anything. So I'm going to string my little spider through the hole in the center of the center web. So you've got that hole that you made back when, and then you're going to cut off any extra length of thread if there was too much. Take a green crystal, place a tiny little bit of nail glue on the back side of the green crystal and hold your end of the thread onto the back of the crystal. So just sit there and hold it. It's not comfortable. It's not ergonomically pleasing, but just wait for that nail glue to kind of grip onto the wire or the thread, so that the thread and the crystal are at least temporarily attached. Once you have that where they are, like I said, temporarily attached, really secure them together with some clear acrylic right on the base of your crystal and then onto the thread. It probably won't take too much. The acrylic will soak into the thread and really stick down, but you do want to make sure that you do add some so that it doesn't cause you troubles. But I hope you guys love this design. I love it so much. I'm also glad that it broke so that we could look at how to fix things, because sometimes those are the things with a tutorial that are the most beneficial. So I hope that helped you out if that has ever happened to you. And I'm so excited about this nail. I have so many other really cool sculpted ones coming up for you. So definitely subscribe so you can come back and see those. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.